Hello everyone, Mr. Happy here, and in this video I wanted to express my thoughts on the recently released Anima weapon questline that was added in patch 3.15 of the game. Now, it's very similar to the Zodiac weapon questline if you're familiar with that. In a lot of people's eyes, it's a little bit too similar, but we'll talk about that in a bit. I would like to tackle step 3 right off the bat because I know that's where everybody has their gripes, but I think we should take it step by step. Look at step 1, then 2, then 3. So, let's look at step 1 first. So, step 1 does not count as talking to Rowena, then going to Azazla. Yeah, it's like a 2-second quest, so it doesn't count. The real step 1 is the choice between handing in a Zodiac Zeta or grinding out Luminous Crystals. So, the Zeta, whatever, you have it done, you get to skip that. In a lot of people's eyes, that is definitely something they are happy that they had done. So, I'd say the Zeta in itself felt pretty worth it going into this questline. The Luminous Crystals, while their drop rates aren't nearly as bad as the Atmas, and I say that from some experience, as I had to do some recording for my Atmas earlier, or for my Luminous Crystals for this questline earlier, I'd say that it's still pretty odd that they decided to go with a similar choice. Even if they did make the drop rates better, they also made it so you needed more drops. So I'm just curious as to the design decision, but overall, a first step that is pretty familiar to people, and they made improvements on it. I feel like that's the big thing they took away from the Atma step from before, is they took away the need to be on the job that you're actually progressing on. So it was more to encourage the people that wanted to do the relic to also level other jobs in the process. Now, while not everyone does that, because not everyone has another job to level or wants to level another job or has any interest in it, it is still a step up, the fact that you don't need to do it on the same job. Like I did mine on Astro when I was doing it for Ninja. So I can totally understand that there were improvements made on it, but it is ultimately the same step. So I was kind of hoping it wasn't going to happen, and I've been making jokes for months, but I was disappointed to see that outside of handing in the Zeta, which thank God I have 2 of them on my main character, that was really the thing that I had to do. It was just, it wasn't too impressive to me. So that out of the way, I mean, thoughts are pretty basic on step 1. Step 2 was refreshing, in a sense. I mean, first of all, it was a really easy step, especially if you're willing to work together with other players, whether that be in the Party Finder or you want to Duty Finder them all. When people all go into dungeons with the same sort of goal, it makes it a little bit more enjoyable. I know that all I did was I went to the Party Finder, I joined someone's group, and we did all 10 dungeons together. And the whole time we were joking around, laughing, making jokes about what we were afraid Step 3 was going to be, which we wouldn't have been doing if we had seen what Step 3 was going to be, because all of our nightmares came true. I think it was a fun step. I think it failed in one aspect, though. I feel like when they do things like that, they want people to go back and do hard mode dungeons. Now, Keeper of the Lake and Snowcloak are main story dungeons, so everyone had those done already, and obviously they wanted to facilitate helping new players get through Snowcloak and Keeper of the Lake. The problem is, when you can go in unsynced and you can go in with a full pre-made, people are almost always going to take that option. Now, I say almost always. I know plenty of people who just Duty Findered them all, and they had to also additionally sit through Duty Finder wait time, so you can't ignore that. But I feel like it missed its mark, especially just because those dungeons could be unsynced as well. So you could be level 60 rolling through the first 6 dungeons. And I don't know how much it really helped people want to unlock 4 of the other hard mode dungeons, because I know plenty of people that didn't bother unlocking all the hard mode dungeons because of the inefficiency of the roulette pre 3.1. So it definitely missed its mark, but it also, for those just strictly doing the quest, it wasn't a bad step. If you had a group, you could go through each dungeon about 5 minutes. When you get to the Heavensward dungeons, you can no longer undersize them or unsync them, so you have to make sure you have the 2 DPS, 1 tank, 1 healer kind of thing going, because you got to treat them like a normal dungeon at that point. And that was a little annoying, but it didn't really matter much, because it was still a group of people that wasn't going to have an issue doing those 10 dungeons, just ultimately, in my opinion. So really not that bad a step. Steps like this, I think the community never really minds, even if it does kind of miss its mark with the helping people with old content thing, which is a fair criticism, and it's a criticism I have as well. But easy step, so let's just move on to step 3, which is the meat of the video. So, the third step of the Anima weapon questline. I'm not going to go into all the numbers, how many Alexander runs, how much tomestones, beast tribe quests, whatever, because it's been done to death on pretty much every place that you can look. Reddit, official forums, my video explaining the questline, like, it has the numbers there. We don't need them here. I'll say, I think the grind at a hardcore pace is super daunting. At a casual pace, a lot less daunting, but still kind of fragmented to some degree. It's odd to have allied seals for the old hunt and then not have Centurio seals for the new hunt. It's odd to do things like requiring poetics again, or requiring that people go and do old world beast tribe quests? Was that something that really needed the Anima weapons quest, the Anima quest line to repopulate it? You really have to wonder that in itself, because the entire point previously was to get people doing content that needed to be, fulfilled. And maybe they said, maybe we don't have that much content that needs fulfilling outside of maybe the Diadem and Savage, and we can't really put too much in there. So we'll put some of it in the old world stuff that people may not remember or may not have wanted to invest time in prior, because maybe they didn't want to mount. This will encourage them to, make some gil through it. Maybe they'll earn some law tomestones. Maybe they'll use them to level other jobs. Maybe they'll do it just to get to the mount now that there's another thing that's, there, because they're already rank 3 and they need these items, so they'll probably just keep doing it. And then if they don't do it, we'll put the Vanu option open, but because it's guaranteed regardless of rank, just to get them to do that, we'll make it so it's available, but you'll need more of them. There's so many different things that could be going through their heads. And my ultimate thought was that, yes, the grind is too much for the market it is trying to appeal to. I'm a hardcore, I'll put all the time in and do it, even if it's not something I super need, That being said, I don't feel like it's designed for me. And I shouldn't be using me as an example. It's designed for the people that have no intention of going into Savage, or unable to find statics, or uninterested in doing raids, just all that stuff. It's designed for people who aren't going to get 210 weapons otherwise. It's not designed for people that are going into Savage and clearing every week, So I feel like they missed their mark with attacking that market and making it beneficial or tantalizing for that market. Getting to the 200 weapon is really tantalizing as a new player, because getting the 170 weapon just for doing fates, cool. Getting a 200 weapon for then doing 10 dungeons that I've already beaten to get to this point, sure, awesome. That for a 200 weapon is an amazing deal, as opposed to waiting 3 weeks and spending my Essos on it, when now I can instead maybe get a body or legs and start looking for some more people to play with, or working on my Thornton weapon. I think they hit their mark super well on the first part. Just the second part, it's just the third part right here, that I don't know. And then on top of that, to have the crafted pieces, like, I understand you want to open up new markets for crafters, but this felt over the top. This felt like it was something that belonged later, not on top of all that other stuff that we need for this third step. So do I think they screwed up? Do I think that they were delaying for 3.2? Screw up isn't the right word. I think they had the wrong idea about it, and it resulted in a less than favorable quest line, a less than favorable final result. I'm not someone who expected this to be a super different quest line. I expected it to be very similar to Zodiac, and it is in many ways, except there's no books. I still think the Animus books are worse, way worse than the Anima weapon quest line. Just the 4 hours waiting for fates was awful. That being said, I think that the biggest mistake might come from Savage. And I know that sounds stupid, but I think what happened, and this is just an opinion, they looked at Savage and what the effort required to get from I-200 to I-210 was there, and they reflected it here. And that doesn't work. I understand that it's relevant, and if it was way easier than Savage, people would have no incentive to do it, but that you're catering to a market that doesn't do the raids, not just because they're not doing the raids mostly because they're not interested or they can't find people, not because it takes too long, or then that needs to be reflected here. I mean, yeah, that probably plays somewhat of a role in it. I just feel like that the difficulty of Savage played a role in the jump from 200 to 210, and the go from I-170 to 200 reflected the ease of getting to that point without this, because just doing a bunch of dungeons is pretty much the same thing. You do a bunch of dungeons for 2 weeks and you're good. Like, isn't it like, what is it, 6 dungeons or something? What do you get, 75? You get 75 a day. So yeah, it takes 6 dungeons to get to 450. So you do, 13, 14 dungeons and boom, you have an SO weapon. It just takes longer. And I feel that that's reflected here in the I-200 weapon. It's just that the jump to 210, man, it is pretty daunting. So I'll do it for my monk. I'll do it for my monk and my alt. And I'm going to do it at a casual pace for the most part, unless I really feel like grinding out Alexander normal for a few hours. The big difference is I will take that time and I will be social with people. When I'm grinding hardcore, I'm a lot more social. I talk to people on the stream more. I talk to people in my free company more. I talk to people in link shells more. I answer tells more, because I'm more sociable when I'm working really hard like that. And it's such a weird thing to think, but it's because I did it for years in Final Fantasy XI, and I hate drawing that comparison. But every time I was wasting 30 minutes waiting on a damn spawn, I was talking to people because it was the only way to get through that 30 minutes and keep my sanity. And I mean, great, then this is going to make people a hell of a lot more social. It already has. Look at Reddit, look at the official forums, look at stream chats. How much more are people talking now that they have something either to talk about that's common ground, or that they need to distract themselves from what they're actually doing. I feel like it's just such a huge talking point that it's improving the social aspect of the game, even if it's not always in a positive way. I don't want to see this ever again. I hate seeing the community tear itself apart. It's great for the social aspect, but it is not great for the sanity of your players. And the fundamental thing is, it's only fun if you can make it fun. A lot of people have been tossing that around as well. You know, oh, they forgot their design philosophy. You know, they said to make content fun. If you wouldn't enjoy doing it, why would you wish it upon your players? And after Yoshi P said, I personally would skip the first step if I could. Ha ha ha. It's hard to tell if that's sarcasm, but after seeing the first step, I guess it was just his way of saying Atma. And he could be speaking like, if I was a player, maybe I'd want to skip it if I could, but that still like goes against, I do agree that kind of goes against that philosophy of making fun content. I don't know. I definitely do think they missed the mark on the fun aspect as well. I enjoy the content because I know how to be social. If I wasn't social, or if I was someone who didn't want to be social, I would not be getting anything out of this other than a weapon. So I think they really need to buckle down and look at what people enjoy doing in Final Fantasy. Whether that be raids, whether that be the story. And I think they need to buckle down and enhance those aspects more, and not worry about these aspects as much, and making them as time gates or anything, or making them so over the top that people will play your game for X amount of time and people will pay their subscriptions more. I know it's a business, but you scare people away with things like this too. So it's gonna take a lot of effort. And honestly, next week when the live letter happens, people are gonna be watching Square Enix. They're gonna be watching them, or they're gonna be watching Yoshi P, and we're very curious to see what he says, because there's no doubt in my mind he'll have to address this when it comes out next week. So I do want to say here, though, I do respect that the dev team does a lot of work. They've taken what was a failed product and they've built it up so far. It's come so far from where it was so long ago, and there gets a lot of new players a day. It's just a matter of retaining the ones that are, you know, long time and long paying customers as well. Dev team, you've done a phenomenal job up to this point, and to be honest, I want Square Enix to pay more attention to you. I want to see Square Enix invest more into you, because Square Enix has a bunch of products I'm looking forward to, but the one product that I love the most, I feel like they're not giving enough love to. Just my opinion, though. You know, I've worked with Square Enix before. I've worked with people on the community team for Final Fantasy XIV, and honestly, they're good to work with no matter what. I just want to see, from the highest level, I want to see more resources put into 14. That's ultimately what I want to say, because I think we can avoid things like this. I think we can avoid, you know, giant features being added that don't really feel all the way finished with this, and with a public test realm. I don't want to public test realm the bosses per se, because I already know what that did to World of Warcraft, but I want to at least be able to test, like, have a day where I can log on to PTR and everyone can do Diadem. And after that day, take that feedback, see what people say, and incorporate it. I know that makes the process a little bit longer, but it also makes it so that when it does come out, it's enjoyable to more people. All right, so I'm getting totally sidetracked here. I wanted to tell you my thoughts on the Anima weapon. Thought is, TLDR, that's the end of the video, TLDW. It's a bit too much. I don't think they really thought about it all the way through. That being said, I will still do it, and if you are planning on doing it, I do recommend you take a casual pace. Treat it like something you can log in, do a few things a day, see a bunch of content that you don't usually get to see, and then, you know, go on with your day. You know, treat it like a game. That's what it's supposed to be treated like. You know, you log in and you have a few long-term goals in this one, though. So I'm going to do some videos about the PTR idea, about some raid ideas that I have, and I mean, whether or not they're popular, I don't know, but they're videos I've wanted to make for a long time. And after getting to talk for this very long period of time, and I'm surprised if you're still listening to this right now. I think it's about time that I started sharing my ideas with you guys. So let me know what you think about the Anima weapon quest in the comment section of the video below. I know it's going to be a hard ask, but try to keep it civil. Try not to attack one another. If you see an opinion you don't like, just try to not call the person a shithead, I guess. I guess that's all I'm asking. Just try to have civil discussions. Oh man, that's not going to happen. Anyway, I got to get going. I got a live stream to get to, so I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Until then, take care.